Thank you for taking some time out of your afternoon to be present at our first junior college planning meeting. I worked in schools for 20 years, and this is the earliest I've ever done it. But I think that's because the feedback that we got from parents, and I got this feedback from parents too in the States, is that you feel like you need to know this now, like you're a little bit behind, and you want to have this information. I would say the most important aspect of this, well, there's several important aspects, and you'll take away what you take away, but in terms of the data that you need to take away is the testing calendar, right? A lot of parents and students wonder, well, when do I take what test, when, and how, right? I think that's the biggest data question we have out there that you need, and we're going to talk about that in this talk and more. If you notice on the checklist that is in your folder, one of the first things we put in there was that we're going to do a part 2 of this presentation on December 10th. And those will be updates. Maybe we'll cover some of the things we covered here, but there'll be updates in where you should be your junior year in December. That's going to be in the evening. We realize a lot of parents work, and we want to make sure that we are available to a diverse group of parents. But before we begin, we'll introduce ourselves, because you'll be working with us for 2 years around the college process. The other thing you need to know is that counselors at ASD, we are college counselors, but we're also generalist counselors. So we wear 2 hats, right? So we wear the college hat and we wear the counselor hat. And that counselor hat deals with social, emotional, academics. Please do not let the counselor hat interfere, or the college hat interfere with the counselor hat. If you need something from us, please see us also as counselors. We're not just your college counselor who's taking notes on all the good things you do and all the bad things you do, and then we're going to report to colleges. That's not how it works. In fact, we want to get to know who you are as a person, an authentic, imperfect, wonderful person. So those 2 hats can actually work together in this model that we use. Oopsie. So ASD counselors offer individualized college guidance for applications around the world. Okay? This is where ASD students go around the world as of right now. Last year in the United States, international applications were down 30%. I'll just let that sit with you. So getting started. Okay, first I was trying to do a Kahoot today where you guys all, give us your, you like that? Yes, where you guys chime in, but I would have messed that up in this audience with my technical skills. So I just want to see your hands. How many people have lived in 2 countries? Raise your hand. Okay. Oh, you can probably hear it. How many people have lived in 3 countries? Good. How many people have lived in 4 or more? Okay, here we go, right? All right. So, you're probably wondering, well, why is he asking me? When we all came here, a lot of us, well, I guess I'll just speak for myself. So when I come from the American school system, in a high-impact school where kids were applying to some of the top schools out there, everybody tried to figure out, who are you? What makes you an individual? And I see something like a low-hanging fruit at this school. And the low-hanging fruit at this school that a lot of kids don't recognize is this international community, right? And you hear global citizen, and they go, oh yeah, but I had a great time at my camp in Pittsburgh. And I'm thinking, okay, you can write about your camp in Pittsburgh, but do not forget what you already have. You have this wonderful resource, which is sort of being in this global community. So I use that example that when we go through this talk, start to think about what makes you unique to the schools that you're interested in, okay? You have commonalities here that you sort of overlook. and you think are just normal across the world. But you have some really unique experiences just by being here that you can start with. Anyways, so getting started, start with you. So at 11th grade, you are, you shouldn't know anything about this process, right? In the mind of the beginner, there are unlimited possibilities, right? That's you, you're the beginner. In the mind of an expert, by the time you get done with this, you're going to think there's only like 2 or 3 possibilities. So you should be thinking very broadly right now about this whole process. Not only about where to go, but who you are, right? This process can go 2 ways. It can be a process of tyranny that you have to go through, and everybody says it's so stressful, it's so stressful. You can choose to make it that way, and you can listen to everybody and they say how stressful this process is, or you can make it a journey of self-discovery, right? Where you will end up going to a college, you can only go to one college, and you can say that the process was a growth experience, was challenging, but yet it was a growth experience. And how can it be a growth experience? It can be a growth experience if you really start thinking about who you are as a person, right? What makes up you? It's an art and a science, okay? The science is the data, right? Especially with the UK schools. You know what your scores you need to get into certain programs, and you have to have those scores to get into those programs. I'm probably using the wrong word, program is not the word. But in the United States, you have ranges in which you have to attempt to get into, right? But in the United States, it's more of an art. It's a holistic review, right? So this process is both, and you have to educate yourself on both of those and step to that dance, so to speak. It's about reflection and awareness, right? Reflecting on who you are as a person and having these conversations with your parents about what you really like to do. Right, that covers that. Okay, college selection, here's some advice. Number 1, just grades matter. They matter the most. Don't let anybody else tell you anything else. You can, have as many interviews as you want. You can know as many people as you think you know, but grades matter most. Just keep it simple, right? Grades matter most, right? So that's how you have your transcript in front of you. Not to scare you, not to say, uh-oh, but we're talking about grade trends, right? Trends, upward trends, right? There's always time to get better with your grades. And if you need help with that, that's why your counselors are here. That's the great thing about having a counselor who's a college counselor and also your academic counselor. We can help you in both worlds, right? We can say, you're here, you want to get here, let us help you get to where you need to go. Cast a wide net, right? So right now, I hope you are considering all the schools you've never heard of, right? Because you're going to apply to GW, you're going to look at Boston, you're going to... So right now, you have to cast a really wide net if you really want to get all the information, all the data you need to make your decision. Okay? So you hear this thing, really good school. That's a really good school. That's a really good school. I don't know what that means, really. Tell me, if you would ask people at a cocktail party or whatever party you go to, and they say, oh, my kid, it's a good school. And then you say, well, tell me what that means. Then they would have to give you some data to fill that in. So the definition of a confabulation is a lie told honestly, right? And that's essentially what people are doing when they think they're telling you what a good school is. Well, tell them, well, give me the data on why that's important to you, right? And just because it's important to you, guess what? It doesn't mean it's important to you. So if you haven't taken the time to figure out what's important to you, you really shouldn't even be looking at schools right now, right? You want to put yourself in the driver's seat. You don't want the colleges to be in the driver's seat. Admit rate does not directly correlate to quality, right? Demand does not drive quality in higher education. The University of Chicago's admit rate 10 years ago was like 35%. It's now down to 6%. The college hasn't changed one bit. It's still the University of Chicago, right? They haven't done anything really new. It's still where fun goes to die. No, that's not kidding. I'm kidding. So, you know, and so this is the game that colleges play. Don't get sucked up into it, right? Understand what these admission rates are all about. And it's really about PR. It's really about hiring these really shiny directors of admission and enrollment management services people to really make their college look really exclusive, right? Look beyond that. Be smart consumers. And figure out what are the intrinsic qualities in the college university you're looking for. I hope Ms. Harvey is going to tell you her story when she talks about why going to school in London might not be the best option for you, because I think this goes into this too. A lot of ASD kids have to be in a big city. I don't understand that. Okay, there are some good schools in big cities, right? And I understand why the cities are attractive. But when you go to college, you're part of a community, right? You're not going to college and then going out on the town. You know, you're going to college and then you're going to the Grill, and then you're going to athletic events, and then you're going to clubs, and then you're going to student organizations, and you're going to these things. For 4 years, you are immersed in a community. You go to college for a community. If you want to learn content, take an online class. You know, if you really want to get immersed in a community, figure out what it is that community has to offer, and then immerse yourself in that. And then understand what the intrinsic qualities are. Okay. Oh, don't have fun yet. Okay. More advice. So this process doesn't have to be a tyranny, like I said. It can be a fun process, right? It can have some fun in it, some exploration. You can satisfy your curiosity, both students and families together. So when you engage in campus visits and travel, meet representatives, they are all super nice people who love to talk to students. That's the reason they travel 3,000 miles to come to our school from Scranton. You know, they're here to meet you guys, right? You can interview them. You know, some of the representatives love it when people from the newspaper interview them, you know, and just ask them about their school, and then maybe report back to the greater community about their school. It's, like I said, it should be an opportunity for mindful self-discovery, right? Not just a means to an end, right? Sometimes when I say that, the parents are like, yeah, get out of my way, we know where we're going. You know, keep your gross stuff. Anyway, choose clubs. So here's the word here. Choose. You get to choose, and the choices that you make is what colleges and universities are mindful of. It's not the specific thing you choose, it's that you chose something, right? And you went with it. So what you choose, your activities, clubs, classes, service, summer programs that appeal to your interests, not your neighbor's interests, not the person's either, they're your interests. You really have to take ownership of this process and make it who you are. It's like creating a piece of art, right? If someone started making a piece of art and then you started dabbling with it, you can't do it. You've got to start from the beginning, and it's got to be totally from who you are if you're going to make some art, right? Or a piece of music or whatever. Show that you can thrive and grow in new ways, right? So that's what you're doing when you have these activities. You're showing colleges and universities that you can thrive here on this campus. If you can thrive here on this campus, most likely you will thrive and grow on their campus also. You do not have to be a finished product applying to colleges and universities. You know, they know you are 17 and 18 years old, and you know nothing. Right? Okay, so they want you to come to their campus and be able to grow and thrive also. Okay.
I just wanted to add that Ms. Thompson and I have been scheduling like back-to-back university representatives. So when Mr. Tassoni said meet representatives, we're bringing them here for you guys. They're either coming from 9:30 to 10 in your morning break, or they're coming for the whole win time from 12:37 to 1:53. So please make sure you're checking the high school bulletin. We have a link in there. We're putting them in Seattle. As he said, they are traveling thousands of miles, hundreds of miles, coming from different countries to meet meet with you guys. And it only takes a little bit of your time to come and talk to them, interview them, ask them questions, find out about their universities, and they're from all over the place. So definitely take advantage of that.
That's right. And if there's a question you don't want to ask the schools that you are applying to, use the representatives who are here from other schools to get a sense of how they view that question, okay? Since you're not going to apply there. And yeah, have some fun your junior year. Hopefully your senior year too. This is supposed to be fun, right? This is high school. I think sometimes we turn it into something, it's really quite simple. It's not as complicated as a lot of people think, right? The other thing you need to know is that I was driving home from a conference this summer. We're going from London, Canada to Toronto. We're taking the shuttle. And of course, I couldn't help myself. I had to talk to him about every kid I thought that should have got in that didn't get in. I'm like, how crazy are you? You didn't take that kid. And he's like, Patrick, I gotta tell you something. You give us way too much credit. You think that somehow we know exactly who the right kid is for the right spot. He says, you have deadlines? Guess what? We have deadlines. Our job is to get a certain amount of kids here, and a certain amount of kids here, a certain amount of kids here. So while we think if we can just do this, and just do this, and just do this, then I'm shooing, right? I'm gonna get it. It's not, the science is imperfect with college admissions, right? So why not just have some fun along the way, right? Okay, so there's several acronyms out there. This is the finding the best match. These are the things you can consider in order to find a good match school. And these is person, program, place, people, price, and parents. Person would be the student? Is that right?
No, it's you.
Is that right? I didn't create this slide, but is that right? Is that? Because I see person and I see people. Okay, so person must be who you are, right? What? But the person is the person applying.
The student.
Yeah, you're the person.
Okay.
Program. So this is really important too, right? So programs, and this is something you need to do your research on in terms of the programs. No longer are programs you can just go to the FIS guide and say, oh, this has a good business program. Now, college universities advertise institutes. They advertise who's doing what types of research on campus. They talk about think tanks that they're part of. They talk about how many Fulbrights they have, how many Watsons they have, all of these outcomes that come from programs. And it's all online, right? You can find all this information online. You just have to start researching specific schools, and we can help you with that. I want to come up with a list of schools that are not considered and should be by ASD students. And by that, I'm not talking about schools. I would talk about specific programs within specific schools. NYU does a great talk. In their talk, what they try to convey is that they don't admit through the university. They admit through the schools at the university. This Tisch School of Arts does not even require test scores, right? They look for other things. And I think that's the way admissions is going. They're looking for if you're a good match to the specific program within the college or university. So make sure you educate yourself on the specific program. Place, this is important, but I think we know what we want in terms of place, but I would say as juniors and families, be really open-minded right now. Think outside the big cities, and think about getting to where you want to go. You may want to consider a liberal arts school that's going to support you through organic chemistry, that's going to give you the support you need to have those grades to get you to be a doctor, right, to get into medical school, to have the GPA. So you need to consider what's the ultimate goal here, right, in terms of place. And you may have to give up a couple things, like a great big shiny school in the city, and go to a liberal arts school maybe outside the city that's going to make sure they support you and get you to those places, right? Okay. So price is important. Yeah. And parents, right? So this is a family deal, right? You should keep the communication lines open. I would talk about having honest conversations about price right now. In this, just going back to the States, the common thing is, you know, if you can get into U of I, we'll pay for it. It's, you know, 40 grand in state with tuition, room and board. If you can get into another school better than U of I and it costs 40 grand, you can go. If it costs more than 40 grand, you're going to U of I. Okay. Okay, so this it is a great school. It's got a lot of great things. So I'm still going to talk, but Ms. Harvey's going to fill you in on some of these slides.
Just so Mr. Tassoni can catch his breath. I just wanted to kind of intersect this with going back to what it is that you want to do and who you are. Sometimes we see students that apply to the UK and they apply to the US at the same time. So that sort of makes me question what it is that the student wants, because the two educational systems are completely different. So I think you need to start this process thinking about what kind of university experience you want to have. In the UK and in Canada, in research universities in Netherlands, the courses are single subjects or joint honours, which is 2 subjects. So the courses are very sharp and pointy, and you specialise in 1 or 2 subjects. And that might be only for 3 years. Now, if you know what you want to do, then there is an argument that perhaps you could just crack on and do that in 3 years. Save yourself a year's fees. On the other end of the spectrum is the US, which is a 4-year degree where you don't really choose your major until the 2nd or maybe even 3rd year. So that is a different approach. So for a student who doesn't really know what they want to do, or they want to do something very interdisciplinary, maybe they're looking at university systems on the other side. So the same student cannot really want both of those things simultaneously, I would argue. So it's about thinking about what it is that you want. And there is lots of options all around the world, but first of all, you've got to start with what you want. Now, there's some really great options in the middle. So Scotland, for example. Scotland does not have the same university education system as England. I don't know. There was a war 600 years ago. And so in Scotland, they have 4-year programs where you do 3 subjects in the first year. So it can be a bit broader than England, a bit interdisciplinary, but you don't do general education requirements. So you don't have to slog through French again if you're not a linguist. So again, it's what we're hoping students can do this year is really educate yourself about the different university systems around the world and then decide what it is you want. So you can focus your research and your energies applying to universities that really do fit the experience that you're looking for. So that's what I mean by this chart, going from sort of a spectrum of very sharp and pointy to very round and breadth of education in the US.
Okay, so I just realized this is being videotaped. I should probably tone it down. Keep my job. But I do want to keep it light because this junior meeting is happening early, and what we don't want to do is get you ramped up, because that's going to just come natural from all the noise that you're going to read about and Google about and all that stuff. So we're going to keep it light, keep it fun. No, you were really light. That was great. Yeah. Okay, so resources to get started. So high school counseling website, this is under construction. We just got here, we did some programming, and then we're doing college counseling. We're going to work on this. The FISC guide, it's a great guide. It's a quick read. It's a comprehensive quick read on college and universities. It has some great features in it. It's 4 pages long on each college university, and all the good ones are in there. You can get this online also, you have to buy it. I mean, you have to buy it, you can get it online. College Board Big Future filters. This is software to help the college match. You know, you put in your ACT, you put in your GPA, you put in what you're interested in studying, the geographic region, and other things, and it gives you a list of schools to start with, right? It's just a start. We recommend this. CLFO is great. We're learning about CLFO, but in terms of the surveys and things, we think this one is better. Test optional colleges. In your handout, you see a big list of test optional colleges, right? We put that in there intentionally because we want to let you know that there's different ways, there's different things to consider when applying to college and university. It's not all GPA and test scores, right? That you can apply through test optional, test flexible admissions policies in the U.S. And then CLFO has replaced NAVI. Oh, and then speaking about CLFO, Ms. Jay is going to run you through it.
I'm just going to stand here so it's easier for me to switch the slides. Last year when we first purchased CLFO, we had a number of training sessions for parents and we introduced it to students in class. Last year's 10th graders, you guys mostly use this. Nod your head if you remember doing the Do What You Are on there, yeah, for the career unit. This year, our juniors and seniors really use this mostly for their college research. For parents, when we did the sessions last year, you guys had a lot of good feedback about things you wanted to see changed. You wanted access to be able to do the research yourself, be able to shortlist schools. We took that back to CLFO and they took our feedback and they made those features available to parents. So their parent accounts and their student accounts, they're separate accounts. All students have accounts, even our new students. They just don't know it yet because we haven't had an intro session with them yet. Coming back from October break, we're probably going to have a few parent meetings again. For those of you who attended the parent sessions last year when we first purchased CLFO, the information will be largely the same. This is really for parents who are not familiar with CLFO, who didn't get the chance to join us last year, or new parents who are here at ASD for the first time. CLFO is our one-stop shop for almost everything college counseling related. One of the things that our juniors should be using it for right now is the college visits. So Ms. Bigues talked about college visits earlier. Nod your heads, guys, if you remember getting spammed with about 55 emails at the big, yes, that's an emphatic yes, yeah. We had confirmed all these visits over the summer, and then when we came back in August, we added them all to CLFO, and that's why you guys got spammed. That's not going to happen. We only get confirmations like 2 or 3 times a week from this point moving forward. But this is a great resource for you guys as students. You should be checking the bulletin. That's your first place to see the visits. And logging into CLFO maybe once every 2 weeks to see what schools you'd like to meet with. These reps are here to see you. They thoroughly enjoy having conversations with students. Our parents are also welcome to come by and see them once our students are done. You most certainly can stick around and chat with them. We schedule these during student breaks, so we need to be sensitive to students returning to class for instruction. So parents are welcome to come see them as well. The parents can access the full list of the college visits on the ASD news that you guys get every Thursday, I believe it goes out to you guys. In the counseling section, there's a link, and you'll be able to see all the updates in there.
I just want to add the last 2, Tufts and Tulane, because we have had the announcement that Thursday is a modified schedule. The scheduling has been moved up to 12 o'clock, so it will be during your lunch break. We weren't able to edit it because, again, CLFO does have some glitches in it. It still says 12:35, but if you registered, you got an email from CLFO saying it's been moved to 12, and for everyone in here, I want you to know it will be 12 o'clock.
So if you were planning to see Tufts or Tulane this Thursday, just drop by at 12. What we'd like is juniors to get into the habit of doing is signing up. So when you guys log in, you'll see these blue buttons that say sign up. Sign up to meet with the rep. Sometimes students sign up and they can't make it, that's okay. It's not like they're taking attendance. We give the email addresses to the reps so they can follow up with you, and that way you can continue to correspond with their admissions office as well. The other thing that students use CIAFO for is the college search. So nod your heads again if any of you have been in here and taken a look at scattergrams. Few of you guys. Okay. So let's talk about scattergrams. This is a great resource for our students to see what our history has been with different universities. If you are familiar with what this looked like on Naviance, it's very similar. So when students go in, they can use the filters in the school search to narrow down the list, or if they have a specific school that they're looking at, they can start by searching with the name. And you'll see a chart when you click on scattergram that looks like this. So this is our application history with Boston University for the last 4 years. The green dots are students who were accepted. The red check marks are students who were not accepted. I have a fake account called Lisa Simpson, and Lisa Simpson is somewhere in there in that black triangle. So when you log into your account, your black triangle is based on your GPA and your SAT scores. If there are no SAT scores in there yet, then we'll have to add those when you do take it, and then you'll see where you pop up. This is a great resource for students to gauge what's our history, what are my chances of getting in here. It's not a crystal ball. You can't entirely predict because of just how a lot more holistic this process is than just being based on numbers. The thing that I'd like to draw your attention to is the number of scattergrams we have for some outstanding schools that have no data. So I'm just going to draw your attention to a couple of schools, just reiterating something Mr. Tassoni said earlier about thinking outside of the box and outside of the list that maybe your classmates may be looking at or previous graduates have applied to. Bowdoin College, no applicants in the past. Occidental, very few. Lewis and Clark, which is in Portland, none. Kenyon, a wonderful small liberal arts school in the Midwest with a very strong writing program, none. So we'd really like you guys to use this resource to see where are people applying, what are the programs schools have. This is not about building a list that looks just like your friends, but really about you identifying what's the best place for you. In addition to CIAFO for the search, I would strongly recommend Big Future. Mr. Tassoni mentioned this earlier, and the reason we recommend this, even our seniors right now prefer this algorithm to what CIAFO has. Big Future is what College Board has. It's a free feature. If you have a College Board account, you can use it. They have more filters, which just gives you a more broader list of options you can filter through, and it's just more holistic than the CIAFO filters. So a lot of students start their research first here on this website, then they use the CIAFO search just to kind of take a look at the scattergrams in our past history. So you can choose which one you want to start with, but definitely use Big Future as well.
Okay, just going back, 5 years ago, I had a dad who was really into scattergrams. I mean, he was a statistician, and anything with graphs he loved. And what he realized was that he identified top-tier schools that our students didn't apply to, or didn't usually apply to. And then he made a correlation with what the outcomes were if our students would apply to those schools that nobody over time had applied to. The admission rate went up for those kids because colleges want to get students from good schools on their campus, and they're willing to even dip a little bit in terms of standards to get those kids in. In addition, they may throw some money at you to get on campus if they do give merit awards, right? And he wound up getting his son a half-full scholarship to Rochester Institute of Technology, which was a great school for him. Not a lot of our kids applied, not a lot of our kids went, and it's just the way it goes, supply and demand in terms of admissions, right? Okay, Important factors in the U.S. admissions process. Like I said, courses matter the most, the GPA and course load rigor, but remember trends in grades, right? Test scores, you've got your SAT or ACT, your SAT-2 if required or highly recommended. These are the terms that are used in the United States. And then your AP scores can also be used for admissions. I know they're definitely used for admissions in these cases. So, essays, these are super important. You have your personal statement that goes out to every college, university that you apply to if you apply to the common application. And then each college usually has supplements or they don't these days. Teacher and counselor recommendations. You will probably most likely ask 2 teachers to write you a letter of recommendation. Start thinking about this now. This is another reason why this meeting is good early on, right? If you're mindful that you need teacher recommendations, perhaps there's a couple classes you go the extra mile in, right? The counselor recommendation I like to say is the floodlight. So floodlights light me up from the bottom. It's a big light. And the teacher recommendations are the spotlights. They're the who you are as a learner in their classroom, right? Co-curricular activities, these are important. Which ones do you choose? Those are important. What story are you creating for your application? Interviews, and then demonstrated interest. Demonstrated interest, we realize you can't be flying off to every college and university in the United States, but guess what? They come here and you might as well create a relationship with someone that you're going to meet again next year when your application rolls around. It's a lot harder to say no to somebody you know than somebody you've never met. So if you can put a face to your application now, who knows? It may be helpful during the admissions process. And you do that when the college universities come here and you say, hello, my name is, and you strike up a conversation, right? It's not an interview, it's a conversation. And if you want help with that, you can come to your counselor and we can practice with you. What choices did you make in high school? These are important. And once again, what's your story? Action plan for students. This is your action plan. Stay focused on your studies. Complete the student college questionnaire for your counselor. This is in Seattle. We'll probably tell you more about that when that time comes. You don't have to be worrying about this right now, okay? Complete teacher letter recommendation surveys. If applicable, this is when the time comes. You don't do this until April anyways, but just something to think about. Research universities based on your interest. Attend WIN study block sessions. This is in the second semester where we're going to get you ready for the process, the college process. And then operate with integrity in all phases of the process. So you want to be real, right? You want to be who you truly are. We are all imperfect and flawed, and colleges know that. Don't try to come off as this perfect, applicant. They want to know where you failed, where you've been challenged, where you've dropped the ball, and then what did you do after that, right? It's not about that this didn't happen. It had happened, and you fixed it, right? And then even if you're taking the gap year, this also applies to you. Action plan for parents. Okay, allow your students to have ownership of their college process. Essentially what we're saying here is encourage your student to talk to their counselor, right? If something needs to be done, if you have a question about something, talk to your child at home and say, I need you to go talk to your counselor today. Make an appointment, get this information, and then come back and tell me what they said. And then they'll come back and you say, no, you didn't get the information, go back again. So you put the ownership on the student. This is true for colleges and universities also. They do not want parents taking the lead on the application. If they sniff that you are taking the lead in the application, that's not going to fare well for your child. You have to put them in the driver's seat. You have to have them talk to the reps. You have to have them email the reps if possible, right? All of that gets noted by the rep. Every college university has what we call regional reps. In the UAE, we have an international regional rep. So USC has an international regional rep. They are the first read of your application, right? And they take notes on everything. You met them at the college fair. They may take a note. They may, you email them. It goes in your file. Everything goes in your file. And that all goes in committee for about 5 minutes. They go over your application, and that's when they make their decision, and they move on to the next student. So that regional rep is an important person to create a relationship with, an authentic relationship. Consider universities a visit over school breaks, attend university meetings with school counselors and your student. Ask your child how you can help. So instead of helping, ask them what do you need help with? And if they say, I don't know, then go through some of the lists. Well, do you visit the reps? Well, I could get some help with that. And then you say, well, you just said you didn't need help. No. So, kind of help them figure out where they may need some help. Be sure to have an honest conversation with your student regarding financing the university. Consider writing a recommendation for your child and sharing that with your student's counselor. That often helps us understand the student better, and perhaps we can use some of your words in our letter of recommendation. I'm just speaking for myself. I do. Standardized tests, college entrance exams, we kind of went over this. You've got the SAT, the subject test, or the ACT. You do not have to take both. Please don't prep for 2 tests. Pick one or the other. You can take practice exams and see how you do on one or the other, and then move forward. All of our juniors take the PSAT. You are taking the PSAT soon. If you prep for the PSAT, you probably should take the SAT because you've essentially prepped for the SAT, right? It's a one-stop shop with that. Don't go prepping for the PSAT and then say, oh, I think I should take the ACT. Prep for the same test consistently. English language proficiency, this is school specific. You would take that at the beginning of your senior exam, or the end of your junior year. Country or specific subject specific exams for the UK and Europe. There's a great site that you have, what's it called, for courses? UCAS courses. The Guardian. The Guardian has this great site. It's called the University League Table 2020. It's by The Guardian. And you can just put in the school and the course that you want to study, and it tells you what you need in terms of scores for every course out there. It's a great free resource. So SAT international test dates, here they are. They're all online. This is where you start to create your testing calendar, right? We're going to post these. We share these out with you. You can take a picture of them. They're on our website. Remember, the testing calendar that you create has to take into consideration all the stuff you're doing in life, right? Like the sporting events, the traveling, and everything. So it's really good to start creating this testing plan. These are the ACT dates. I believe the ACT is offered at one site in Dubai. It's Dubai International Academy. If you notice, it says 11 and 12. Is it a 2-day test? No, but you can take it either on the 11th or the 12th. And I believe they have a morning session and an afternoon session. So that's probably why only one school's doing it, because I don't know who's got time for all of that. All right. There you go. Free test preparation resources. These are some free test prep, right? Test prep is as good as you actually prep, right? And that's why sometimes going to a site is a good thing. If you know you're just going to procrastinate, if you think it's, oh, I got this online thing and I'm going to do it, and then, oh my gosh, it's already the fall of your senior year, like I never even logged on one time, this isn't for you, right? If you need to go somewhere physically to be present and focus on test prep, do that. But if you're able to create a testing prep plan and log in every week at a certain time or twice a week at a certain time, then this is the way to go. It's very effective. ASD things to remember, 10 applications maximum. University of California schools count as one. There's a lot of University of California schools. UCAS, you can have 5 universities and they also count as one. Teacher recommendation should come from 10th, 11th grade, 12th grade, or 11th, I would say. Especially if you're doing early decision, I don't know how that 12th grade teacher is really going to know you. Perhaps 10th grade. especially if they knew you outside the classroom, that can be okay too. And if it was, there's something called core classes. Core classes are science, social science, English, math. Those are core. Even world language sometimes doesn't even count as a core. Sometimes world language, art may not be considered a core. So just keep that in mind for those real traditional sort of hardline schools that think that core are only those subjects. Students may ask teachers after spring break only for letters of recommendation. Advice, oh, this is great. So advice from a student who is going to school on the East Coast. You guys can read this, but this student says, concentrate on getting testing done in the spring of your junior or October of your senior year. If you want to go ED, in your checkoff list, we give some advice on which SATs to take if you're taking specific classes right now. So if you're in pre-calc in your checklist that's in your packet, we recommend that you might consider taking the SAT 2 math, right? It correlates really well with that. And you want to do that right after you took the class because hopefully that information is fresh in your mind. That's in your checklist. Only ED to college you are 100% committed to, and be sure to your backups are places you love also. Don't get caught up in the names and rankings, okay. Right, I mean, sometimes people talk about target, safety, and reach. Safety schools can be your first choice school. Because you're a safety school doesn't mean they're your last choice school, okay? Be sure to pay attention to setting, size, and competitive nature of the campus. Try to connect with ASD alumni to ask questions about their experiences on campuses. Because one, they were here at ASD and so they understand the ethos of this place and perhaps they're similar to you in terms of what they're familiar with and maybe their experience might be similar to one you may have. Don't compare yourself with others, make this process your own and focus on yourself. Here's someone from the West Coast. Start your essays early. Good advice. Hopefully in the spring of this year would be a great time to begin your essays. Be realistic on college choices. You only get 10 applications, so using 8 on impossible choices is not a good idea. They said that. Think about campus environment and weather. Okay. So glad I'm in California. I hate cold and I like access to the city. I'm from Chicago and I hate the cold too, so I'm glad I'm here. Don't play the game of trying to pick an easy major to get into a specific university. It's a difficult switch. Can be. If you're a liberal arts school, not as hard, right? And once again, some differences in the schools that are on the ASD list as opposed to all these other great college universities out there that might be a little bit flexible with that. So something to consider, a reason why to consider perhaps some other schools. Grades matter most, so do it now, I agree. Try to have your list of colleges set before August, okay? Class of 2021 timetable, research college options, talk to ASD grads returning for the holidays, individual meetings with your counselors and parents. Welcome, I believe that's after, what's that? After the break. In the spring, attend university events at ASD, register for the ACT, SAT, consider taking subject tests in June, but also maybe consider, taking June, May or June. Visit colleges and meet with college reps at ASD. Remember, you need 2 reference letters. In addition to the reference letters, I'd like to say that there's teacher recommendations that are required, as well as the counselor recommendation, but there's also something called an outside recommender on the common application. Once you start the common application, you'll see this. An outside recommender is not your teacher. It's someone who has either mentored you in an activity outside of school, maybe you did an internship with somebody, maybe you're on a college campus and you did some research, and they write you a letter through that other recommender. Once you start the common application, you essentially send them an email from the common application, and then it's a link, and it gets automatically uploaded into your common application. application. Use that wisely. Okay, so that's it for our junior college kickoff night in the fall. We probably have some other things that counselors want to say, and then we're going to open it up for questions. I hope you have.
So can we go ahead and give Mr. Tassoni a big round of applause? Raise your hand if you think we should keep Mr. Tassoni here at ASD. We like him? Yeah? Maybe? Yeah? Let's give it a hand. Come on, he did his best. Come on, guys. So we just wanted to let you know, because we are 5 brand new counselors here, and God bless you, Ms. J. You have really taken us in and helped train us and answered all of our questions, and we really, really appreciate you. But we are a big team of 6 now. We come with all this various experience. We've got our first British counselor. We love having you here, UK expert. Thank you so much. And with that being said, we want you to know that we are a one-stop shop here. So that means we are comprehensive. Your students and you can come to us. We have an open door policy. We are here to talk to you about personal, social, emotional, and university. And what we talk to you about does not all go into the letter of recommendation, so don't get scared about that. A lot of parents have been asking us questions about what is your role with, my child's university application. No, we don't sit down and fill it out for them. Obviously, they have to do that on their own, but we are here to guide you and your student through the process. So, and you get this all for free because you're paying tuition here, and we come with the package deal. How great is that? Yes! So, that being said, we want to make sure that you are utilizing those resources, and don't worry, don't be scared, don't think that things are going to get dropped or fall through the cracks. If we don't know the answer to something, one of us on this team definitely knows the answer, so we will be pulling from each other's resources. So for example, if I want to make sure that someone's UK application is on point and where it needs to be, I will go over next door to my colleague, Ms. Harvey, and ask her opinion as well. Our goal is to make sure every single student is advocated for. Every single student is getting 100% of our time. And so I feel, and I hope you guys feel, and you know after listening to Mr. Tassoni and hearing everything that we have to offer, that we are here for every single one of your students. We are here to guide them, and we will walk them step by step through the process. That is what we are here for. I hope that that has been conveyed. And if you have questions, again, open door policy, email us, come in. We look forward to working with your children. Does anyone have any questions? You did such a great job answering this question. Yes, ma'am. I'm talking about what? Gap year. Okay, good question. So I'm not sure what your opinion is about gap years. I've heard different things living in the States, living here in Dubai. Sometimes it's like a bad word that you're not supposed to say. Gap years are amazing. It gives students that may not have an idea of what they want to do, or they do know what they want to do, but they want to take some time off. Some universities will allow you to submit an application, and you can tick the box that you're taking a gap year, and then maybe in the personal statement you also have to explain what you plan on doing in the gap year, and then they defer the offer until the following year. There are some universities that don't do that, so obviously you have your gap year, and then the following year you would start the process to be admitted. Yes? Yes, we do. Her question was, if you can't do the applications where they defer it, and so the next year you need help with your application, will the school still support them? And that's what I've done in the past. We do that here too, right? So she said we haven't had many of those situations, but I feel like if you guys email and say, hi, my son Matt was here last year and took a gap year and we're starting the applications, of course we're going to be here to help you. So Ms. J was saying we still have to supply the letters of recommendation, the transcripts, so obviously those will stay on file here. So if a child is thinking about doing a gap year, that's why Mr. Tassoni said you still have to follow these timelines. because you want to make sure that you're still asking for letters of recommendation while you're here, because if that teacher happens to leave and then you come back and say, oh, I need a letter, they're already gone. So we would still make sure as a junior in your spring part of the year that you are still following all the other guidelines so everything is saved in the Cialco database. Any other questions? Yes?
Why is that application for me?
I'm sorry?
Why is that application for me?
Well, let's see. First of all, financially, that's a lot of money. And some people that might not be a big deal, but we always like to start with that. It does cost to send applications. Number two, it is a lot of stress on a student when you have 20 applications and each of them have essays that they have to write. That is too much to try to manage. To do that. And then when you're starting, what we've learned from university reps, and you guys can join in at any point here, when you're doing more than 10, you're really not showing a demonstrated interest. It's more like kind of like, I'm just going to throw it out there and just throw my money out there and see where it lands and wherever I get in. It's not really showing that this is where I want to apply because I'm really interested in this school. And keep in mind that with UCAS, it's one application, but you get 5 universities in that one application, and the same thing with the University of California. It's one application, but you can apply to all of their campuses.
Yeah, and about the stress of the students in the process, we're sort of saving you from yourself in this sense. I mean, also, it's on our profile that we tell college universities that we only allow our students to apply to 10 schools. With that said, they know that they have a 1 in 10 chance of being the school that the student will go to, right? You've heard about this conversation with yield, right? So yield is very important to a college university. So if I'm Harvard University and I give 100 kids 100 acceptances, I want 100 of those kids saying yes to me. I don't want 50% of those kids saying yes to me and 50% going somewhere else. That's why ED works so well, early decision. But ED is ED is the agreement that if you apply to my school and you get in, you're going to join Kickoff. I have you. That's a yield in my hand, right? So I know as a college university that high school is letting those kids apply to 30 universities and throwing it at the dart and just hoping it lands somewhere. I might just say, look, we're not going to consider that student. And I have found that does not work. A certain caliber student is going to get into a certain caliber of school, right? It just works out that way. So I think that's one of the reasons.
We also wanted to make sure that you guys knew that we are an SAT testing site. So when Mr. Tassoni said with the ACT, there's only one site in Dubai, it's DIA. If you're taking the SAT, you will always test here at ASD. So you don't have to worry about finding the site. We are a testing site for the SAT. Yes, ma'am. What is UCAS? University College Application System. That's what you have to use to apply to UK schools. So like Common App, you would use that to apply to certain US schools. The UK has their application system as well. And it was created and managed by Miss Amanda Hardy. It's a joke.
She helps within the U.S. also. So we all share our knowledge of all the systems.
So I've heard here in other places that there are so many schools that we don't know about, and I'm very aware there are many good schools out there, and good would probably be a great fit, other than the big names. But we also are saying by August. So when, do you guys bounce ideas?
Yes. So that's a great
When does that?
that's a great question. So you will all have your individual college meeting for these. Oh, the question is, we hear there's a lot of wonderful schools out there that are not part of the the list that most of the today's gave by and so I think the question is, when do you meet with us in order to figure out what they are?
How do we learn more about those?
How do you learn more about these schools, right? How do you educate
schools
yourself?
There are really quality schools that I might not know the name,
Right.
Personally.
Right. So, great question. I think that's twofold. One, when we meet with you, we're going to give you a list of schools based upon the questionnaire that the student filled out, as well as any input that the parent has. in addition to GPA and the SAT parameters. So in my college conferences, you're going to lead with a list of schools, and I pay careful attention to that I know what your list is, and then I'll give you my list. And so that's where you're probably going to get some schools that you haven't heard of. However, I sometimes feel like I insult people with my list because they think, why would I go, to Lewis Park? That's not even in California, or that's not New York. And so yes, we can give you our list, but you still have to be open to it.
Another great way is every time we have presentations, for example, the end of October, we have Dutch universities coming and they're going to do a presentation about the Netherlands. It's called Going Dutch, and it's going to discuss the Dutch university's research and applied sciences, all of them in general, and then they will give you specific information. So attending those type of sessions. We have U.S. universities that do the same, universities from the UK. So anytime there's a presentation, joining those presentations so you can find out more about all of the options that are out there.
Yeah. Athletic scholarship programs. How you found out about athletic scholarship programs? Well, all universities pretty much have them, right? It's the NCAA. If you're talking about the United States, in the U.S., it's the NCAA, right? That's the governing body of all of the athletic associations. There's 3 different levels. There's Division III, which is the small level. Division II is the medium, and Division I is the one you see on television, right? That's the big guys, right? And it's with every school has different sports. How do you find out about them? You go to their websites. First, you have to figure out where you fit into that, right? You have to assess what your athletic abilities are. Right? And then you figure out if you're going to do 3, 2, or 1. That's a good question, because every college and university, even the liberal arts schools, if you go to the athletic page, any college and university, there's a section that says recruits, and you click on it. And then you click on the sport. You want to do swimming. So you click on swimming, and it says recruits. You put in all the information you have on yourself, and it's a form you fill out. And it puts in your SAT, your ACT, your time, your events, your height, your weight, the school that you go to. If you do a club sport outside of school, all of that gets captured within that document. So if you're interested in playing a sport at a school, go to the recruit button on any website and put in your information. If it's something they like, they'll get back to you, and then you'll start that connection with the coaches.
Another option is if you are playing sports for a club here in Dubai, some of those coaches are actually connected with U.S. Scouts. And so in the past, schools that have been here in Dubai, they have gotten summer opportunities to go to the U.S. and play at that university in summer camps, so that way those coaches can actually watch them. You're a little bit at a disadvantage being in an international school because in the U.S. the coaches go to high school football or high school swim matches or high school basketball games to scout them out, but they usually don't come overseas. So if you are working with a team here or any type of sports club, a soccer club, or talk to your coaches and find out what kind of connections they have as well.
Yeah, and the performance sports like soccer and baseball and basketball, a lot of times they'll let you send a video of yourself and upload it also. I mean, the time sports are, you can either swim, you get a time, you track time, or whatever. You can't deny a time, right? So you can just send those times to the people. Yes? Yeah, we were trying to thread that out today, right? I wish there was one answer for that. I believe it goes from state to state and school to school, right? It does help if you own property in a state, right? And you really have to go by whatever the state rules are for that. All right, I wish I had one answer.
And I think it's the competition is similar with the international schools.
Not necessarily. Sometimes, the strategic admissions goals at any university change from year to year sometimes, right? So what college and universities, their marching orders changes every year in terms
of admissions. We want this type of student, we want more of these. We've graduated all our tuba players, we need a tuba player. We want more women in science, we've got to get more women in science. We want more full pay students, let's go international. You know, just to be honest, that sort of conversations happen. So it changes from year to year. And sometimes it may be an advantage. If with 30% of international students not going to the U.S., supply and demand says you probably have a better. It just, you got to kind of watch what's going on in current culture.
One question on the SAT and the ACT. I just recently heard, I don't know if it's a rumor, but it's actually a disadvantage to take an SAT as a school coming from this region, scoring system is different. Can you explain a little bit of that?
I haven't heard that, so I really can't talk to that. That somehow that the SAT is a disadvantage from coming here. I think I know what you mean. I think it's not an American type school. I think what they're talking about are the international schools where they've never heard of the SAT, right? Where it's not part of the culture, right? If you go to the, I don't want to say school, but a school that's maybe not focused on American admissions, and then all that, you know, then you got to show up for the SAT, you don't even know what it is. That may be the disadvantage we're talking about. I don't think the test is different in the
Is she, or, I don't know who asked the question, are they referring maybe to that it's put in with the Asians, with, you know, the whole general region? And therefore, we might not be as high as Singapore, or is that
No, I mean, I think that's national merit. National merit is definitely harder to get as an international student because you are put into the international pool and you are competing against all the other international students. It's really difficult to get national merit. U.S. citizen, but you can still be an international student and get national merit. Yeah, but, yeah. So, that's where we are with the SAT. Yeah, one more question, and I think there's a probably time. Yeah.
I just wanted to add to the question about disadvantage for students abroad. The only real disadvantage is that SAT has been cutting back on test dates. So at this point, for about 3 years now, there are only 4 test days a year for our best for SAT reasoning. So that's really the only thing. So we really want to encourage you guys to plan and start taking in technical semester so you can maximize doing it at least once or twice in the second semester and once maybe again in the senior year because there are fewer test days. If you look at the domestic dates for the U.S., there are a lot more test days.
There are a lot more test dates in the U.S. than there are internationally. That's the only disadvantage for our students. For the ACT, it's computer-based here, but it's paper-based in the U.S. And computer-based testing is not something a lot of students are particularly excited about, but that's really the only disadvantage as far as testing goes.
We have time for one more question.
Okay, yes. Well, because the UC is one school. University of California is one school, and they're campuses. So you're not applying to different schools. You're just on their application, you're ticking the boxes of what campuses. The problem with ApplyTexas.org, if you're applying to A&M and you're applying to UT, you still have additional essays you have to do for both, even though it's only one Apply Texas. You don't have to do additional essays for Davis, for LA, for Berkeley with UC, but when you're doing Apply Texas, you could apply to Texas Tech, you could apply to UT, and you could apply to UT Dallas, and apply to A&M and still have the extra essays. But it may be the same essay, but you may have to write 3 essays for UT because they want A, B, and C. Like you can't just choose one. Right, but if you are applying to the different schools and you're having to add, because most people when they apply to the Common App, they choose one of the essays and they only have to write 1 essay. And then if they have a school that maybe says a supplemental essay, then they have to do that. If you're then adding ApplyTexas.org and you're also having to write more essays, we don't want to put that stress on a child. Yeah, it'd probably be best to,
You have 5 short answers.
but those are short answers, and they go to all of them. Yeah, well, okay. Only the University of California. It's a different one, yes ma'am. Hey, thank you guys so much.